Welcome to Fut-Afrique channel, the only channel that gives you facts about football. I am with Brian Mofokeng, my old friend. Brian, which team do you support? Because we have so many stories about which team you support.
I support football.
No, it does not work that
There's a
way.
team called football, you know?
No, it doesn't work
This
that way.
is what I support.
No, I support Swallows. When we were relegated, we came back, we changed the name. Until today, I support Swallows. And you?
You see, there's a neighbor of mine who supports Swallows as well.
Yeah.
So you happen to, he loves you a lot. Because, I realize just how old the neighbor is.
Oh.
So, Swallows is about patience. It's about experience.
So you are saying I'm old?
No, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that, that there's that thing that comes into play.
No, okay.
Because I know that, he will sit down and give me stories about your AC Mnini days and everybody else.
It's okay, Brian.
I understand.
I understand. Probably your team is not doing well now. Listen, let's go back to football. We're in PSL.
Yeah.
Chiefs and Stanley, they are both of them in MTN8 semifinals.
Yeah.
And they had a chance of getting 6 points while Sundown and Parrot were not around. It looks like they gave it away.
If you look at the way the teams played, Chris, I think there are two ways to look at it. One is Stellies have not been doing well. Let's just put that out of the way.
Not only Stanley.
Stellies, in fact, the entire Western Cape. There's a serious problem in the Western Cape at the moment. Cape Town Spurs, 6 out of 6, no win. Cape Town City, they've also gone 5 now without a win. So Stellies have also joined the whole fray of matches without a win, But I believe that the difference between the two teams is the Stellenbosch FC keep losing players, which is a problem. Because if you look at the team they had last season, for them to even find themselves in a top 8.
But they're selling team.
That's the problem. The problem is that they're getting a lot of young players that are coming from the neighboring places around the Stellenbosch area. From Kamandi and Fuleni, they're bringing those players into the team. Once those players come in there, some from Mitchell's Plain and some are coming from the colored neighborhood around the area. Once those players grow into the senior team, they're always going to be wanted by somebody else outside.
Of course.
So those players are going to go.
Natural in football.
You understand? And then they bring in some players. Mendieta is 1 point. Mendieta was a reference guy to go to. Because when you look at a player like Ikram Reyners, he left SuperSport United. He only had assists, not goals. And he gets to Stellies, and he starts scoring goals one after the other for fun. Because he had a better supply that he was getting. That is Ikram Reyners. This season, he has only scored 1 goal. And he's the guy that he used to go to for goals, and he's the guy that used to do stuff for them.
But Stanley, what you are saying is, it is not actually a problem. They don't want to be relegated, but they're a selling team. And a selling team, when they lose players, is not they make money.
But also at the same time, if you look at it, they've got a lot of young players that came up, whom they could have sold. They've kept most of those.
Second round of PSL, they want to push.
You can talk about Van Wyk. He's there. People wanted him. Jaden Adams was wanted overseas, but they kept him in the team. They kept him in the team, and they kept a structure there. They brought in 2 new players, both from Cote d'Ivoire. They brought in Ismail Touré, who scored a goal against Solano Pirates in a 2-1 loss. But they've lost him also, red card. We'll talk about the red card issues for them as well. And then they also brought in Ura, who also came from Ivory Coast. He played in, I saw him, I covered a game between Golenaros and Stellenbosch FC. Not a bad player. Doesn't release the ball in time. They got other players they got from Maritzburg United. They got Janimo Palace, who came into the team. He looked absolutely brilliant, And the runs that Ikram Reyners keep making continuous in the team, he doesn't have the support he used to have when Mendieta was there. So that's their problem.
Well, you just gave me the list of problems that Stanley have. The other team that could not make the 6 point, which is Kaizer Chief, give me the same list of problems.
I saw your podcast the other day with Lufuno. He was talking a lot about the sort of players they need and the sort of goalkeepers you'd want, how we can actually line up at the back, who is going to sacrifice and bring you and all of that. We know the news now Mthethwa is coming to Chiefs. Yeah. The fans wanted him. He's finally been signed. My thinking when I'm sitting...
Well, they wanted it to Melenge Kun as well.
Yeah, but I'm saying when you look at Mthethwa was a player they wanted for a while. And eventually the high became more when they played against Stellies, when they eventually won the game after there was a red card in an encounter. And I've watched Mthethwa. Mthethwa is in a mold of a Nengo Masha. Doesn't complicate football. Wins the ball, gets in good positions. But the question is, Do they need, or do they have a space for a player like that at Chiefs at the moment?
But that's not the question. The question is, what is their problem?
The problem at the moment is they're not scoring goals. Simple.
Yeah, you cannot score a goal as a striker, where I played. I was not a very good one, but I was playing in that position. For you to score a goal, you need supply. For you to score a goal, you need to receive the ball. For you to score a goal, you need to position yourself.
Yeah.
What is their problem?
What they have done now, they brought in Gonzalez, the new striker they brought into the team now. He still needs to adjust.
No, you know that story of a player to adjust. What you have to adjust? The 11 players are playing against you.
This is the
soccer
structure.
ball is the same. The field is the same.
Let's look at the number of players they signed coming into the season. They got Modi, Castillo, who's been, for me, the most enterprising player they signed this season. They brought in Ditoko from SuperSport United. They brought in Simango in a central defense as well. They shifted things around at the back. They also brought in Duduza Mtanzani into the team.
They brought in a new coach?
He was there. He was a TD initially.
Technical director is not a coach, but now
but he was part of the fold. He was part of the system. And I can tell you also, there's Velu Kumal who works there, who's in charge of the youth team. They come from almost the same school because when he left the under-17, Veli took over the under-17. So there's a structure thing that is coming up at Kaizer Chiefs, which is influenced by Molefe Ntseki, who's the coach at the moment at Kaizer Chiefs. And Arthur Zwane sits as assistant coach alongside Dylan Shepherd. So when you look at that, Chris, first of all, let's look at what was the biggest problem for Chiefs last season. Then we can deal with this season. Last season, they were playing matches where they will score and concede. They could not keep clean sheet. That was the biggest problem.
This year.
So what the coach is doing now is that now he's saying, let me find a formidable back that can be able to sustain and hold things. But then
work the process
while they were busy doing that,
yeah.
while they were busy sorting out that part of what they do in that department, other departments are suffering because then the defense is looking good now. You're now not conceding goals.
You bring Castillo in the middle of the field. You bring Ciel in the right-hand side. You have Martis going forward.
Yeah.
I still don't understand that Chiefs is suffering because they put so much emphasis in one position.
When I look at Chiefs of old in my generation, not your generation, because it's a different.
70s?
Yeah, no, your generation is the 70s and 80s. I'm not talking about the Chiefs that I started watching consistently as a soccer pundit, as a person who had massive love in football. Let's look at when you had a Katsande.
Yeah.
Was when Nengo Masha left Katsande, got into slot in there. Who was in front of Katsande?
Yeah.
Lutuluyane was there.
Yeah.
When Lutuluyane was not there, who was there? Maluleka was there. So you know that once the ball is won, there's a creative spark that's available that can be able to get you going forward. But the decision making now, it is key to realize one thing, Chris. When Castillo is playing and Yusuf Mati is playing, there's got to be a decision as to who's going to play which role when the game is on.
Whose decision is that? Players themselves or your coach?
It is how they set up. It all goes back to set up.
By
the
whom?
coach decides how
so
they
the problem
set up.
is the coach.
Not necessarily the coach in a way to say is a problem, but he's still finding his footing.
Okay.
When you're finding your footing, it's very difficult for you to. What I will say also, which is very important, it is that as a coach, when you come into a team with so much pressure for you to deliver, my man, your work is cut out already before you even start.
So Brian, I hear you. I hear the story why Stanley and Chiefs could not maximize with the absence of Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns.
Yeah.
This weekend, it's a massive weekend in South African football. The
Yeah.
very first trophy that everybody wants to touch. Not only with what it can give you as a return, which is money, but what it gives you as to relax in the season to say, at least I do have something on my coffin.
Yeah.
First of all, the importance is Stanley, they never won anything in the league since they got promoted. This looks like it's massive for them. At the same time, Kaizer Chief, since your son was one, has seen nobody from Kaizer Chief lifting a trophy.
In fact, my daughter, more my daughter than my son, yeah.
Do you think this weekend the pressure is on Kaizer Chief and Stellenbosch? By the way, we will talk about Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns. The reason we're not talking about them yet is because the issue is this side. Do you think this weekend is massively important to those two clubs than the others?
100%, Chris. There's no way you cannot say there's no pressure on them. There's huge pressure. When you think about why Chiefs became the Glamour Boys, why Chiefs became the most celebrating team in the country, it is what a trophy haul they had.
They won every single season.
One.
They won one or two.
If you look at the record books, who has won the MTN8 more times? It's them. Nedbank Cup more time is them. The TKO that is no longer there, the new cup. So it's them. You talk about all the other. Bar one.
The unbeaten run.
The unbeaten run.
Now it's equal.
So Sunderland's just equal that as well. So if you look at all those records that they held, those are all records that were coming from the 1990s to the 2000s. They don't really have good record into the 2014, from 2014 up to now. They've got no good record to look at. So if you look at that point of view and the hunger that comes from the fans who are supporting the game, especially for a team like Kaizer Chiefs, they won trophies. So the pressure is immensely on the coaches at that team.
And
because and the players as well. I had a conversation with one Chiefs fan who was saying to me, there are some players in this team who doesn't think actually deserve to be there. And I started saying, they give me names. And said, they give me names and throwing names around and said,
you don't give names here.
No. Yeah. You were saying that. And he said, they're not players in the mold of a teenage lad. And I'm saying, you're talking about exceptional players. Those are exceptional talent. And also what football has done.
But in a different era as well.
Yes.
I don't like comparing players.
And football
that
has
way.
evolved also, Chris.
Of course.
Because if you look at when football was played in the yesteryear, you didn't have the sort of endurance you're having now. Players are now looking after themselves better. They're learning more about the game.
And they can pass the goalkeeper the ball back, and the goalkeeper hold it. So everything has changed.
So much has come into play. Technology has come into play. So many things have come into play. And that's one thing for Kaizer Chiefs. Now, when you are a team that is Kaizer Chiefs, everybody expects you to do well. And when everybody starts judging South African football...
Based on history.
Because
there is nothing else beside history that gives
the only one
them the right.
History is the only one that's carrying them.
Okay.
So everybody's saying that if you have these number of fans or supporters as a team, if you got such an appeal across the continent, even some people overseas even know the team.
Yeah.
So if you have this massive appeal, what is stopping you from performing at that same level? Because the love is shown to you consistently, and the frustration you are seeing at the stadiums now, Chris.
No, I don't believe love is being shown to our football clubs. We have to accept it. When you have 2,000 people in the stadium supporting you, that is not love. And you are playing the stadium that can host 90,000.
See, that is a statement.
No, but that statement, if you can give me 40,000 people, I will say you are supporting me. I don't believe we support our football clubs the way they should. Listen, when I used to play for SuperSport United, if we have 20 supporters, it was great. That's the expectation. If we have 30, we're happy. When we play against Chiefs, we're going to play them in the rest.
Let me ask you a question. What made Chiefs become the team that was supported by most fans growing up?
Probably because their fathers supported it.
No. That's one. But what is the key?
Well, success.
Everybody was looking for success.
No.
The same thing.
They were not looking for success.
They found a team that was successful.
No. Everybody joined success. We have to be honest. Many football fans, they get the illusion it is their support that brings success to clubs. Especially, I'm talking about in South Africa.
Yeah.
No. Most people, they go to a club which is successful. How many Chelsea supporters you know when you are growing up? Not many. But since they start winning, everybody supports Chelsea. Almost the same.
How many Arsenal fans did you know growing up?
As the same.
Can you go to the Arsenal part? How many Arsenal fans did you know growing up?
The same thing I wanted to say. The same thing with Man City.
Yeah.
Going back to Chiefs and Stanley. Let's start with Stanley. What do they have to do to turn around in this MTN8?
Listen, for Stellenbosch, it's very simple.
From the result that they came from.
Let's look at it. From Stellenbosch, it's very simple. You have already suffered some defeats that you could have actually won easily. Now you find yourself in a second leg of a cup tie. You just have to hold on, and actually you just have to come into Joburg and do something.
Away from home.
Win.
Against a team that have 2 losses back to back.
Yep. You have to come into Joburg now and actually win by 2 goals for you to advance. Or win 2-1, force the game to penalties, and try your luck there. You know, the good news for them is that Devin Titus comes back into the team.
So that is one element.
Already. And then you have Molefe Ntseki also, who got a red card in a previous game.
That's a second red.
He's back as
so
well.
Those 2 players, you believe they can change the tide?
Titus is a big player for Stellenbosch. You know, I've watched him, I've watched Demon Typhus play. And also, I mean, if you look at, and I'm also hopeful, you know, I'm hoping that a player will stretch us off the field, Van Rooyen, a very big player for them, got stretched off in a game against Coronaros, suffered a very concussion. You know, there's a big player for them to actually be able to have in a starting 11 for him to be able to take them forward. So that's what they need to. They've got nothing to lose, Chris. You've already lost by 2-1 at home. But another problem is that they're bringing those players back. They've just lost one. You know, a player who got man of the match in a game they played against Coronaros was very steady at the back, and then Ismaila Touré, and now he's not available because he got himself red carded.
Discipline. They have to fix the discipline. So for them to change the tie, they have nothing to lose. What will you do as Orlando Pirates going to this game?
Yeah.
People keep on saying that because they changed their squads, that's why they did not win Botswana. No, they lost the game. They lost against Mamelodi Sundowns. 2 games back-to-back, they lost them. Now they are going to a much-wanted game to be in the final of MTN8. What do you think they need to do for them to...
If I were Stevie Barker, I just hope that he has Morena Morebedi's number. He would be sitting with him on the phone and say, you know what? You did it when you're still coaching Maluti FET College. If you did the Buccaneers against all odds.
Yeah.
You've just done it now with Joel Galaxy.
Tell me.
What is the formula?
But what do you think is the formula? Listen, you covered over 1,000 games. You have been in the stadium to do those games live, and you have seen how Pirate plays. You know their mentality. You know the inside stories. What do you think Pirate? Let me do this. What do you think Pirate will do to lose the opportunity of being in final?
I don't think Pirates want to lose this one, especially given the fact they've got back-to-back losses that they suffered. They'll come this time here. Literally, they'll be hungrier. I think that losing those 2 matches was a blessing in disguise, in my humble opinion, because I believe they became a bit complacent. They started realizing, seeing themselves as a team that is, because we start throwing. You know what is the biggest problem with the media? We start throwing numbers at you.
Yeah, of course.
We start telling you the numbers that you've gone 13 without a loss.
Yeah.
Your coach is doing very well. This, and then
boom,
and then immediately you lose. Like, see,
it's
what happened.
So what you're saying, finalists, Stanley Pirate. Who is going final?
Given how things are looking like, it is clearly going to be a Pirates in the final.
Pirate in the final.
Stellies will not be able to make it out of this. But Chris.
No, you cannot have a but.
Let me tell you where the but comes in. The but comes in a form where I say to you, if Pirates walk onto the pitch or they believe they've got this wrapped up, they might find themselves in trouble. But I believe, holistically so speaking, Pirates have the advantage and Pirates will be able to win this at home.
The second game, Mamelodi Sundowns. They don't know what losing is. I don't know if their coach knows anyway how to encourage players because they keep on winning. What will they do for them to lose the opportunity of being in the final of MTN8, a final that they have not tested in a while?
I mean, I think a dream final for everybody will be a 2021 and
no,
2022.
Don't get the...
I'm saying, what will be a dream final? 2021 finalists versus 2022 finalists.
Yes.
So it will be Sundowns 2021 champions against Pirates, the 2022 champions in a final. That will be a dream final.
For
everybody
who?
Look at that. For the neutrals. It will be
for the neutrals, because you say everybody.
Blockbuster, everybody will be excited for that. But for those that always want to have this...
So where to dive in?
You know, we always talk about Cinderella stories. We always talk about surprise packages. They'll probably want to have an early Soweto derby present.
Yeah.
They'll want to have that. But the way things are looking at the moment, the way Sundowns are playing at the moment...
What would they do for them to have a
I believe Sundowns will actually go there and just want to kill off the game immedially.
So do you think that's going to be a bad thing, or you want them to go in that game knowing that they can lose? You know,
when we had a chat previously, we spoke about Chiefs not playing in the previous match against Sundowns.
No, they did not even allow them to play.
You know, so now they played 2 matches in between that since that game against Sundowns. Yeah. You saw how they were held by Royal AM in a goalless draw, but there were 32 chances that it could have been converted in that game. You know, in the game against SuperSport, they conceded in the first minute. Yeah. We weren't able to do anything until the end of the game. So my thing is very simple. The mentality of the players already thinking the second leg against Sundowns in the semi-finals. Because most of them know that the realistic chance of getting a trophy is in the MTN8. Will that come back to bite them or haunt them? It's another story. But realistically speaking, Sundowns are in the final. Can Chiefs cause an upset? I believe can be done.
Before we close, so your finalists are Orlando Pirates versus Mamelodi Sundowns.
Yes.
Okay.
By a miracle of religious proportion.
Okay, cool. That is 1. 2, Mamelodi Sundowns Man of the match. Who do you think will be man of the match?
There's always a lot of options, isn't it?
Which one?
I think for me, Ribeiro has been absolutely brilliant. Tembazwane,
No,
he
give me
played.
one.
Chris, there's so many players at Sundowns.
Give me one.
Man of the match will be performance-wise, depending on what happens on the day. I cannot put my head and say in a starting
Are they
11.
that good that you can't have one?
This is.
Okay, cool. Mamelodi Sundowns.
Let's look at the last game in Sundowns played against Chiefs.
Yes.
It was a Chiefs player who got man of the match.
No, we'll get to Kaizer Chief.
Yeah.
Who is the man of the match for you?
Castillo is absolutely brilliant.
Castillo is the player that have
For
to
me,
make them
he's
shine.
been absolutely brilliant. And Ashley Dupree, by the way, is
Stellenbosch?
another player to talk about.
Stellenbosch.
Can Ikram Reina stand up?
He has to stand up for the team.
He's
to do
got
well.
to stand up. Ikram Reina's got to stand up. Jane Adams got to stand up. And I believe if
I'm
any of
looking for
those
one
actually
player that's going to
go
change.
up,
Orlando Pirates.
I'm trying to figure out how they're going to play without Mtatwa.
Orlando Pirates.
Orlando Pirates. Masonga Anye has been absolutely brilliant for Orlando Pirates. You know, that's the reason why the teams are in the top 8, Chris. It just shows just how tight things are in the Premier Division.
I have to stop Brian. So you keep in subscribing in this channel for you to hear what Brian has to say every single week regarding PSL. Until next time, Brian, I will keep you in my mind who will be in the final. My finalists, I have none. Until next time, au revoir.
Au revoir.